am Laura Catherine. I am a indie fantasy author from Australia. Um, what else can I say about myself? I use they, them pronouns. I have been writing for a long time and been published for a while as well. And I have a new book coming out very soon.
I'm being so thankful that was able to get the arc of enemies to booksellers because been a really fun book that I actually really enjoy. So definitely love it.
Thank you.
What inspired enemies to booksellers?
Enemies to Booksellers was inspired by, I guess, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. It was the very first cozy fantasy I'd ever read. And I absolutely fell in love with the genre the moment that I read it. And straight away I was like, I need more cozy fantasies. But this was a time before cozy fantasy had really like hit itself, like come up in the world. So there wasn't that many books out at the time. So I found like the few that I could. And then I was like, I could just write my own, right? And immediately thought, oh, what kind of cozy fantasy would I write if I had the chance? And the immediate idea was like two people running away to open a bookstore together because that's what I would love to do.
Yeah. It's like, yes, this is I wish I was me. I fell in love with the cozy fantasies because of Legends of Lattes. I'm like, I need more. And then I start going into the other cozy sort of genres as well with romance and that. So I'm like, yep, as many cozy fantasies that people write, I will happily read.
Just keep giving them to me.
I need more. There's never enough.
And it's slowly like evolving as like time's going on as well. So you're getting like all these subgenres as well of cozy fantasy, which is really exciting.
It is. I can't wait to see how it evolves this year as well. What drew you to writing in the first place?
I think I've always liked writing. I've always been like a storyteller, I guess. I would always just like make up stories with like, toys or friends or whatever. And so I've always really liked the idea of telling stories and then writing stories, not necessarily finishing those stories, but starting to write stories. And it wasn't really until I think like year 10 in high school when I had a creative writing class. And my teacher had pointed out that like you could actually do like a university course for writing. And I was like, you can do what now? You can actually publish books? Oh, okay. That
It
sounds like a good thing.
seems up my alley. I think I could
Yeah.
do that. How did you choose which character to center the story around?
I feel like that I don't really pick a character to be the protagonist. I think I kind of come up with an idea for a story and someone comes up to my brain is like, "Hey, this is about me. Can you tell my story? This is mine."
Your idea is mine now, not it's not your idea. You're telling the story.
Yeah. You have no say over it. You just have to write down what I'm telling you that is happening.
What was your process for writing your enemies to booksellers?
It was very different from the other books I've written. It definitely had a lot more rewrites in it than previous books I'd had. The idea was really fast. I think I came up with the idea and like plotted out the whole book in like 2 days, maybe. Like it was one of those stories that just kind of hit me, and I was like, I knew exactly where it was going, who the characters were, and all those kind of things. And then it took me maybe a month to write the first draft, and then it probably took me about 10 months of editing on and off because writing isn't my full-time job. And I did a developmental edit, which I hadn't done before. So it was kind of an experimental thing to be like, yeah, is developmental editing good? And yes, it is. It's very good.
Helpful.
I really enjoyed that. So it was very much, yeah, it was very interesting to see how quickly I could do it and just seeing the different versions of it coming out from what I'd written to what it ended up being as well. I have like beta readers who have read like 7 different versions of the book with like 3 different endings.
Like the gold of beta readers as well to help sort of get feedback before you actually need to do the arcs as well.
Exactly. I think they got a bit confused by the end. They were like, was this in this version or was it in the other version? I'm like, I don't even know anymore.
it's in the copy that you have.
Yeah.
You might need it. You can reread it again. Did you have much world building and character development that you did for enemies and to booksellers?
Development, definitely. I'm a big plotter, like on the spectrum of pantsing and plotting. I'm at like the very far end of the plotting spectrum. So I very much plan out my characters and like their motivations and their flaws and like all the things about them to make sure that that stuff goes into the book because I think character stuff is probably the most important thing for at least for me in stories, the relationships and stuff. And then for world building, I feel like that comes more organically. It's like I kind of have an idea of the general world, but like the way in which that world works kind of comes alive as I'm writing the first draft. Things that the characters are doing or needing then become part of the world. It's like, oh, this character needs to go to this place. Well, this place now exists, so let's make that place.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go with fantasy because I'm always curious if you like people plan authors plan their whole world and then write the story and put their characters in it, or if it's the world comes when the characters experience it. I think that would be the less stressful way to do it though.
It's definitely the way to do it. And it's funny because like I made a map for my book and then I had to go back and be like, okay, well, I've made up all of these places like just been mentioned. And I'm like, so where are they in this world?
And does it make sense?
Yep. And you're like, oh, so they were traveling over here for this place, but actually this other place is over here that they also need to be in and it just doesn't work.
I love maps though, like how the creative and everything, and actually seeing the world visually. Because I'm not so much a visual person, I experience it with the characters, so it's
Mm,
always good to see a map. Love
I
maps.
love a map. They're so pretty.
Did you have a favorite moment to write in the book?
Yes, but it's a very spoilery moment. It's towards the end of the book, and it's a very emotional moment that I cried a lot writing
Oh,
and then cried every time I had to read it to edit it as well. It's got one of my favorite character in the story, and it's just a very emotional scene, which I think is the best, especially towards the end of the book when everything's like coming together. So all the stakes are like way higher, and so you're just like, ah!
you need that in a book though. You need to get emotional. That's how you know that you've connected with the characters though.
Exactly.
Has writing and publishing books changed the way you see yourself?
Ooh. Uh no, I don't think so. I feel like writing has always been a part of my life that publishing a book was just kind of like an extension of that. It just felt like that was the way it should have gone.
Yeah. It's not like sort of a complete shift. It's not like it's your full-time job as well. So it's not like you're having to sort of like immerse yourself fully, like the added pressure of having to write books to sort of keep that income going as well.
Yeah. I would love that to be a
Yeah.
thing one day, but yeah. It's just always been there and always will be there, whether it's a full-time job or not. I don't see myself ever stopping.
That's really good. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer? Or in your writing as well, other than Travis?
I think for me, at least what inspired me to be a self-published author was Amanda Hocking, if you know of her from like a while ago now, but she self-published a bunch of books and did amazingly well for like the first time ever almost for self like published. Like people just didn't self-publish back then, and she actually made a living off it and it was I remember following her like journey and stuff, just being like, oh, you can actually do that. You don't have to be traditionally published. Like you can make indie publishing a thing and work and get money from it.
You don't have to be beholden to a company.
Exactly. And so that was just like mind blowing, I think, for me. And it was just so crazy that you could even do that. So I really loved, she so inspired me to be like, I could do this too.
Do you have any other authors that sort of you would like to emulate in your writing as well, other than like those cozy fantasy Travis Baldry?
Oh, I really also love not Amanda. Oh my gosh. Um, Rebecca Thorne, who also is cozy fantasy genre. She also has been writing other things as well, but She's also a big name in cozy fantasy. And
Mhm.
I really love her writing because her cozy fantasies were always a little bit more higher stakes as well, which I
Yeah.
liked. And she very much likes to experiment with different genres and pushing different things, which is really interesting for me to me. It'd be really cool to just not box yourself into one thing and just be like, I can try all of the different things.
I can throw in little tastes of every genre into the book. It's whatever I want to be. It's a bit.
Exactly.
What advice would you give to a writer working on their first book?
My advice would be to try out different types of writing and plotting and editing and like look at what other authors do and read other books on craft and just try everyone else's different routines and then find what works for you, even that if that's taking like a small piece of someone else's and someone else's and piecing it together to make your own routine because there's no one way to write and publish a book. You need to find out what works for you and what you like doing. And I think it's taken a very long time for me to like get to the point where I'm like really, really happy with the way that I go from like idea to publishing now. And so it would be definitely was something I wish I had known when I was younger, just to be like, not being like, oh, this is how you have to do it. This person did it this way, so I also have to do it this way. It's like, no, you don't. You can take a little bit of something if you like part of what they do, and if you like something that someone else does, and you just make it work for you because
I think
everyone's different and
I
writes
think
differently.
I think that's the important thing because everyone's pretty much like there's a set thing that you have to you have to plot or you need to start with your characters first or anything or the world first. You need to know everything before you start writing. So it just depends on how what works for your brain really to get the book out.
Exactly. And that can be so overwhelming for someone who's like not done it before, thinking like, oh, I have to do it this way, or like, and seeing maybe someone else's routine and being like, that looks like insane. I don't think I could do that. Especially if you're like, if you're a pantser and you see someone who plots or the other way around and you're like, I can't do that. It's like, no, you can just do your own thing. It's
Pick and
fine.
choose. A bit of a fun questions now. What is your favorite writing snack or drink if you have one?
Drink is always tea. At the moment, it's herbal tea. And snack is always chocolate, and it's currently M&Ms.
Fair enough. They don't always they're slower to melt, especially in summer at the moment.
Yes, which is good because it's really hot in Melbourne recently. So I've literally got a pack of M&Ms on my desk. They're
Uh,
dangerous though because it's like you get a bag and you can just keep eating them.
there's no limit to how much you M&Ms you'll eat. So you'll eat a couple and then bag is gone.
Exactly. But as long as you know I got some writing done,
Yeah,
it was
that's the
right. It was the
important
right
part.
thing to do.
Do you play music while you write? And if you do you have a favorite genre?
I do play music when I write. I play just one song on repeat. It's kind of like my when we hear this song, it's time to be in the zone of writing or editing. And the song is called Beneath the Mask, which is music from a game called Persona 5, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It's kind of just like the menu music for the game, but it's like this kind of soft jazz. And it's just like, I know, it really connected with me when I played the game. And then when I was writing, I happened to be listening to the soundtrack at the time. And I was like, this is the song. This is the song we're listening to forever now.
This gets me and sets me up for a writing session no matter what, and that's fine.
Exactly.
Some people listen to random, just different like contemporary songs that have all the instrumentals as well, and some people just don't listen to music. I don't think I could do that, but to each their own.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who like who'll make a playlist specifically for the book they're writing, which I think is really cool, but I couldn't do that.
I don't think I would have the time to sit down and make a playlist to then write or
I
make
just
one
get
as I'm writing.
distracted.
I have to pick for certain ones that don't have lyrics, so I don't start singing along as
Yes,
well.
yes, that is also a big thing.
Why
Nothing
is
that's catchy that you have to sing along to.
Why is this character speaking like this? Because it's the song that I was just listening to. I was writing the dialogue. And my final question is, who has been the biggest supporter of your writing?
Definitely my husband. He has always like pushed me to do more stuff with my writing. I feel like I will do stuff and I'll be like, oh, I'm not sure if I should do this, or like, we have to spend money on this, or we have to do this. And he's like, go and do it. Go have that experience. You're gonna do great. And he just feels me like I'm the one who's worried about stuff. And he's like, you're going to be fine. You're going to publish this book and you're going to make so much money and it's going to be great. I'm like, I'm glad you think that's what's going to happen.
People are going to love your book and enjoy to share it. You
Exactly.
need that though. You need the cheerleader in
Oh,
your
definitely, definitely,
career. Mm.
definitely needed.
Can't get away from it as well. I need time to write. They bye bye.
Also true.